Hello everybody and welcome back to EU Masters. I have to say on that video when, I'm not even sure who it is, just started screaming in the middle of the team fight, I resonate with that on a very emotional level. I'm much more so I'm joined by Orcs as we head towards game number 6. I can't believe the first day of EU Masters is already done, Orcs.
Yeah, it's literally flown by. I don't know, sitting through the first 3 games, it felt like such a big build-up, and then as soon as it got cast, it's like you just blink and it's done. Still got one more though, fortunately, and this one is a banger, I would say. Got 2 of our strongest regions coming in with 2 of their best teams, in all honesty.
Yeah, so we've got France versus Spain, LFL versus the Superliga, and it's important to put some context here because, you know, technically LFL is a French region, but the team is majoritively Polish with a German mid laner, and then on the side of G2 Arctic, this is the Spanish team from the Superliga, but importantly coming from play-ins. So this is not your first seed, this is not your like LDLC equivalent. This is the team coming from play-ins and looking to prove themselves. That's the key thing. That this is one of the, I guess, dark horses of the group where G2 Arctic looked amazing in play-ins. They absolutely slapped Fnatic, let's be completely honest here. But are they going to be able to prove themselves in the group with the big fish? That was a small pond, right? Now they're in the ocean. Let's see how they can swim.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 factors to this, because I think G2 Arctic legitimately have looked good, and I think they're running play-ins. They really developed over it, and they got some solid players, and the early game in particular is really dominant. But also, if G2 Arctic look good, then Fnatic don't look as bad, which is good for the NLC. So, you know, let's hope.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of thinking about it. I think we've got to have something to hold on to, right? We've got to have something because
XL already lost today. They're already gone.
Yeah, it's let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about Misfits Premier here, because important to mention that Agnar Rogue just played, and we were talking about how Woolite was on that roster last split. Well, this is the new roster for Woolite, and I know Woolite is definitely one of the more popular players coming out from Poland. He's kind of Mr. Poland. He's been playing for such a long time at this stage. And it feels like this roster has some of the most experienced teams across the whole of EU Masters. When you look at it like Agresivoo, Shlatan, Sertuss, Woolite and Jactroll. Like Woolite and Jactroll, both players coming out from the LEC, and then the other players coming to previous EU Masters as well. So it feels like this is one of the rosters that you just got to keep an eye on purely on experience alone.
And I think it's one of those situations where we talk a lot about these new, fresh, up-and-coming rookies, but there's a lot of players looking to prove that they still have it. And I think it's kind of sad that Woolite, his entire team ended up going to the LEC, and then he's still playing in EU Masters trying to prove himself, because he had a good run at the last EU Masters. He put on a solid performance, and the hope is that if he's able to deliver again, that'll be enough. That'll be enough to prove, yes, he deserves to go back into the LEC. He's a player who over the course of his career has sort of received a lot of criticism, some fair, but some has felt a bit heavy. And I think both members of the bot lane, Woolite and Jactroll, have definitely experienced that. And with this roster, with a lot of talent on it, this is an opportunity to prove themselves once again, and hopefully it could be enough.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Woolite is one of those players. It's kind of, I guess the closest player in my mind would be someone like iBoy, where in the right situation, he's going to pop off. He's going to be the absolute hyper carry that the team needs. And then in other situations, sometimes mispositions a little bit, gets caught out, and it all goes a little bit pear-shaped. So we'll see how Woolite's going to perform, but certainly based on recency, right? Based on the last EU Masters and based on the performance that Misfits Premier have had in the LFL, you expect Woolite to be firing on all cylinders, and the rest of the squad as well. But let's talk expectations for G2 here, because coming through the play-ins, they looked real good. But I want to talk stylistically about what you're expecting here, Orcs, from this G2 Arctic roster. How are they looking to play the game?
They typically tend to go for a pretty strong early game. Their solo laners are pretty solid. Shlatan is an aggressive jungler. We saw a lot of that the last EU Masters. And the bot lane will actually take picks to challenge in the 2v2. We saw even things like Kalista come out in the LFL, where they were looking to take that fight directly to the opposition. So I expect to see early presence coming out from this team. Sorry, not the LFL, the LVP, the Superliga. I expect to see early presence come out from this team. I expect to see them start ramping things up in the early game, and I expect to see them looking to challenge.
Okay, so building from the early game and snowballing from there. And I do just want to drop a quick tidbit, right? Because as you've all seen on Twitter, the talent announcement went out yesterday. There's a bloke on the broadcast that's going to be coming on in one of the upcoming days called Jamada. And if you don't know him, absolutely sound bloke, and I'm really excited to see him on the cast. But it's important to remember that Jamada has coached a bunch of teams, and Efias, that's on G2 Arctic, that's going to be playing today, was on a team with Jamada. So if Efias looks really good today, we're all going to applaud Jamada for great coaching and setting him up for success. If Efias kind of runs it down, it is entirely on Jamada, so please flame him on Twitter. With that said, we're into Champ Select. It's Misfits Premier versus G2 Arctic, and straight off the bat, we've got a Kai'Sa ban on blue side.
Yeah, being pretty popular across a lot of the teams we've seen. This pick is just facilitating. I think when you look at a lot of the jungle picks, things like the Volibear, things like the Hecarim that want to dive in, Kai'Sa is the best AD carry for following up on that. And so cutting that out essentially limits one of the some of the effective pools with regards to how your composition can sort of go. If you want to play a dive comp, you're missing Kai'Sa, it's just not going to be as effective. These are some fast bans coming through.
Yeah, this is a pre-planned game right here. These guys are coming in with a game plan. They know what they want. And guess what? Hecarim made it through the bans. Instant lock-in as the blue one pick.
Yeah, Udi and Hecarim have been really big picks for Shlatan. Obviously, that was a little bit dated compared to this patch. But even now, he's still very confident in the Hecarim. And G2 Arctic are toying with the options. They're going to go for the Jinx. And you already have the Hecarim as a potential answer to that, but quickly the Volibear locked in. Both these teams seem pretty prepared, pretty well read. The questions for me is going to be, what are you going to be able to do to protect that Jinx? You're already dealing with a Hecarim flying in. I expect Misfits Premier potentially to lock in a support at some point here that can look to challenge.
Senna,
Going for the Senna,
Tahm Kench, right?
Something that can match in terms of the range.
You go Senna, Tahm Kench here,
that denies
he denied
Tahm as well.
Kench from the Jinx. It's genius. Genius. Braum is available, though.
And again, it means
that is an option.
Yeah, I think potentially Braum could be something you go here. It means that they can't really play as aggressive when they're trying to step up on you. It adds that peel element. Or they could just look for a mid laner here. There's still a lot of solid mid lane options. We've seen Orianna often paired with the Jinx to provide that shielding option and the disruption from the shockwave. It really comes down to the preference, but they are just going to go for the Rell. So not something that offers nearly as much peel, but maybe trying to match the aggression coming out from Misfits Premier.
Yeah, I think G2 basically is saying, we're not going to peel for Jinx, we're going in. We're going to fight you as much as you want. Orianna going to be the ban here from G2, not wanting to blind that one for their mid lane. Perhaps indicating that they want to go for maybe a counter pick in the mid lane instead if they don't want to go for the Orianna blind. But we'll have to wait and see. What are you expecting out of these bans here, Orcs?
I think mid lane definitely the target, the Orianna coming out. I expect a lot of these to be thinned out. Potentially, if you're concerned about Oscarinin taking something in the top lane, he's been pretty solid in the Gnar. Maybe you could cut that away. But I think realistically, mid lane should be the focus. A lot of these picks that achieve priority, because I think both these junglers can look to take over the game. Particularly Shlatan is someone who likes to be a driving force in the early game. And Koldo, if he has pressure from his lanes, can flourish.
Well, I'll have to see with the Gangplank being banned away as the final ban there. It does indicate maybe something like a Gnar could come out from Agresivoo, but we'll have to wait and see. The blind pick coming out here for the top side from G2. I mentioned the Gnar with the Gangplank gone already. That could be the option. I will say, and I don't want to talk about LPL too much. I know that I'll probably sound like a broken record. Jayce is real good into Gnar. We see it all the time in the LPL. Whether or not Agresivoo wants to play the Jayce is a different question.
I mean, it is actually something in his champion pool that he has been playing, so could potentially see that coming out. If it's going to happen, you have a bot lane that can function pretty well on the weak side. You got a lot of safety. For now, though, potentially toying with the idea if they're mid lane, it does have to be blind. And Zoe can provide that pressure.
This works really well with the Jayce
I see what you're thinking.
You find that bubble, you can follow up with a shock blast. I'd love to see that, and certainly Senna is more than happy to play that slow game. The hover in the Jayce, it looks like that might be coming through. This is a high-level comp right here from Misfits, so difficult to execute, but if they could pull it off, this is a powerful composition.
And the thing is, these are picks that function well for them. This is a jungler that Shlatan absolutely loves. It's a top laner that Agresivoo will lean on when he's being looked to carry. I think the whole composition works well in tandem. Really, we're coming down to what G2 Arctic can answer with. You need something that can find that priority, and Galio definitely one of the champions that you can look to enable that. You have follow-up for all this engage. You have potential peel as well for the Jinx if she becomes a target. And the big thing, you need to be starting fights in this composition. If you allow them to whittle you down and poke you, you're going to have a really difficult time.
Yeah, also, G2 Arctic basically saying, look, Supa, this is all on you. You're the guy. You are all of the damage that our team is going to offer later on into the game. So when it comes to those team fights, you've got to keep your eyes on that Jinx. But we have two quite different compositions here, right? Where G2 very much want to group up, get all of these big AoE ultimates off and make a splash in that regard. But over for Misfits Premier, they're the total opposite. They want to keep your arm's length, want to stay away from the fights as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, I think G2 Arctic need to find that early momentum in this one. The Jinx obviously scales extremely well, but when you're just the only damage source, you are actually going to struggle later on. If the Senna starts to scale up really effectively, things can become extremely difficult. You have multiple damage threats on the side of Misfits Premier, so it's not like you're too concerned if someone goes down because you still have damage output. Whereas if it comes to those late game team fights, it's all on Supa. If he makes a mistake, if he gets caught out, that's essentially the fight over for you.
Let's see if he will get caught out as we head on to Summoner's Rift for the 6th and final game of the day. Misfits Premier on our blue side, G2 Arctic over on our red side. It's technically France versus Spain, but for Misfits, realistically, it's mostly Poland, let's be honest, and there's Sertuss coming over from Germany. But look at this level 1 from Misfits. They want a bit of a cheesy start to the game, but they're going to be robbed of it. Because Efias knows what's going on. Guess what? Jamada has coached this guy like a dream. Jamada told him everything that's going to happen over the next few years and told him to ward that brush. What a genius.
Good job, Jamada. Well played. And well played from Efias to spot that one out. Definitely a bit of a cheesy strategy that works quite well in these best of ones. You catch someone out in that situation, but Efias a little bit too smart for that one.
It's just, his brain is just too big, you know. It's and it's not very smooth either. It's very, you know, wiggly. So that's very good for brains.
Wrinkled.
Let's stop talking about anatomy though. Let's talk about League of Legends instead, because I don't feel like I'm quite qualified. Let's talk junglers. I've asked you every single game so far today, Orcs. Yeah, exactly. I'm out of my depth on that one. We'll leave that to the other play-by-plays. Koldo and Shlatan, though, starting on opposite sides of the map, though. This is the first time out of our cast that we've seen this, Orcs. Are you expecting any early action, or is this just going to indicate that they're just going to trade opposite crabs and that'll be that?
I think a big aspect of it for Shlatan is you want to be able to lean towards Agresivoo in case he's threatened, because you want to be able to give him an ideal laning phase. He wants to be able to step up, shove the wave, harass the Gnar, and if you're on the other side of the map, he can't really do that. I think coupled with it as well, you're not too concerned about your bot lane sacrifice in priority, as they were never going to win the push against the Jinx, especially when it needs to be Jactroll farming. So I think you can kind of, it's the right setup for Misfits Premier all in all.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the Senna Tahm Kench, that's a weak side bot, let's be honest. Every time you see that, nobody really plays towards that lane. You're just quite happy to sit there, try and get souls for Woolite, try and get the farm for Jactroll if you can. Efias gets level 2 though against the Flame Chompers. Woolite has to go for the cleanse super early in this lane. He is real low as Jactroll trying to push a little further on this one, but I'm not sure if they win the 2v2. There's a knock-up forced flash out from Jactroll as well. Misfits Premier real low on health.
Yeah, some really heavy trading that. I like the moves from G2 Arctic spot lane to punish there. The Chompers coming out perfectly. In the end, it's a lot of summoners burned. About even, but critically, Woolite still has his flash, whereas Supa doesn't, so there is that potential vulnerability. But all in all, both teams willing to go toe-to-toe, and I respect the fact that despite losing the initial trade, Jactroll still went further to try and equalize it after that. He didn't just say, right, trade lost, let's give up. He wanted to make something more happen.
I will say that did cost him his flash, though. I'm not sure if the extended trade necessarily worked out.
Well,
that
it
well,
also
but,
cost Supa's flash, so, you know, flash for flash, and the AD carry's flash is more important. And the big thing is in these trades, Woolite's getting a lot of souls, so there's the payoff in that scenario.
That's very true. This is why we've got you on the cast, man. You're the 5-head that can break it down for Monkey Brain Joe. That doesn't get it all. So nice little bubble there, as we've talked about. The Scuttle Crab's just getting traded here. You are sorry? Yeah, no brain wrinkles. Just too smooth for this. Too smooth for the broadcast.
Okay, both junglers haven't gone for sort of a full clear. This is where Agresivoo has to be a bit more concerned because obviously, you know, your junglers on the other side of the map. Things aren't really too proactive so far. And again, that kind of comes from teams playing on the other side of the map. Is you're not going to see as many clashes with regards to junglers fights over scuttles. We had a lot of those in the previous games. I think the big point where this game's really going to start to find some momentum is when we see that level 6 on the Galio. That's the point where we start to get a bit more momentum, and Fresskowy can move around the map and start to make an impact.
All right, so let's talk about what's happening in bot lane here, Orcs, because Shlatan's moved in. He's dropped a control ward in the Tribrush. You didn't realize that he's on a ward anyway, but that's a huge wave and maybe a dive. Supa has no flash, as you said, but there's a TP with a stun on Shlatan. He doesn't get to play. He doesn't get to move. It's a double TP. That's a little bit of an overcommitment, G2.
That is so good for Misfits. And Shlatan make the correct decision there. He started to go for the play, saw the TP channeling. He goes instantly out. I was a little bit concerned because he has a lack of flash, but you get double TP. Agresivoo is able to crush this wave in. Sertuss gets some alone time. And now you can actually just set up for that bot lane dragon because you know that the enemy team isn't going to be able to bring reinforcements in. We do now see a bit of a fight coming in on the top side.
Oh, hang on. Koldo tried to invade, but that's a horsey. He's real quick. He's got back to the top side of the map, but the taunt stops the follow-up on the bubble. No, it doesn't. Flashes straight into it. And now Sertuss can look for a little bit more. Fresskowy is perhaps staying a little too long on this one, but he is Galio, so at the end of the day, he's able to just zip on out of the play. 1-for-0 on first blood. Goes the way of Misfits, but there's a flash. A bubble comes out, and maybe a solo kill. One more auto, but Sertuss can't quite reach him.
The shield coming out from Galio from the taunt there at the end, the damage reduction, sorry, just enough to keep him alive. But just an overcommitment from Koldo there. Went too deep, got challenged on it, and the Zoe able to move quickly. So powerful in those jungle scenarios. Koldo still looking for a fight here.
Yeah, Jactroll face checks the bush, and suddenly a flying bear appears. Jactroll in a whole heap of trouble, and Efias trying to back up Koldo here, but actually Jactroll's fine, and the double TP is answered with its own double TP. Koldo's the one that was in trouble after all. It was all a bait from the bunnies.
I mean, that's the thing, is you go for this play on the bot side when you don't have the backup to answer. Misfits Premier are going to be able to get a little bit damage on the tower, crash this wave, but ultimately they will just reset. End up trading back in terms of those teleports. I actually see Jactroll TP. This is so much global presence here. Jactroll's going to TP up top lane and clear this wave and defend the tower. Misfits Premier playing the macro game all over the map right now.
Yeah, Shlatan taking a big old love tap there from Fresskowy. I'm going to try and pronounce that right, I promise, but you know, it's a Polish pronunciation. I was trying to fake one earlier on Discord, trying to get all of the Polish pronunciations right, and I got 5 of them in this game to try and nail. So I will say, the Misfits ones, they're some of the easier Polish names to deal with, but Fresskowy does get a nice little hit there. I can't even remember who he was hitting. I've gone so far down this rabbit hole, I forgot where I started.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost too, but I'm sure it was a great initial point. I'll give you credit to that.
Thank you. Can you remember what the initial point was? Or is it
no,
just,
no idea. I just have trust in you. It's blind faith in my co-caster. That's all you need. that's what I've got here. Just blind faith in you, Joe.
I'm a bit of an egg. You used to be a bit of an egg, so we're on the same page. We understand each other. That's what matters.
On the same wavelength. That's why they put us together. You know, we both have experience as eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Experience, if you will. I feel like you kind of missed that one since you set yourself up for it, but never mind. Hey, let's talk about what's going on the map. Because it's 2-0, and you talked about Drakes. You talked about how with that Jinx in the bot side, that should be presence setting up for a Drake. Can Koldo still go for that after how one-sided the early game has been in favor of Misfits?
No. Simply put, it's kind of hitting the point where, you know, that initial pressure from G2 Arctic, you could see Jinx pushing the wave, early levels, but now Woolite's able to maintain control. Actually seen a bit of a fight here.
Yeah, this is a bit of a weird one. Sertuss is going to get a shield here, and Fresskowy suddenly realizing he's maybe gone a little bit too deep on this one, just going to ult on top of himself, but it's a little bit too late for that now. Koldo falls as well. And Misfits, I think, they only wanted the blue buff, and they've ended up with a double kill on top of it, and they're kind of just, it's like they won the lottery, honestly.
Yeah, they'll take the freebies, honestly. If G2 Arctic are going to keep handing them over, then why not? And this bot lane started to get really difficult. The thing is, the Rell doesn't really help the Jinx out. Unless the Rell's able to engage and make a play happen, kind of just sitting back there and not doing too much. Whereas on the other side, you have Jactroll throwing out tongue lashes to harass. You got Woolite harassing and has that extra sustain, and that's what makes this lane so oppressive. Is the Senna has sustain, the Tahm has innate sustain as well, and so they're just able to win trades by attrition. And this has led to them now having 3 plates in the bot side. Supa actually potentially in a little bit of trouble, getting so low now. Fortunately, no ult for Woolite to finish off.
Yeah, I mean, if there was any semblance of priority for G2 Arctic before, it is well and truly gone. Woolite and Jactroll just happily sitting underneath the tower, and Koldo nowhere to be seen to try and help that situation out. So no Drake's taken as we head towards the 10-minute mark, but look at the gold lead. It's 4,000 gold in favor of Misfits Premier at just 10 minutes in. That's the biggest lead we've seen yet, and with 2 of those kills on Agresivoo. We haven't really talked about that top lane matchup. It's actually going in favor of Gnar so far, but with the 2 kills, that CS lead is mitigated completely. Oh, actually, 2v2, but Jactroll gobbles up Woolite. There's the stun coming through. Flame Chompers won't land, though, and Jactroll walking away. Woolite's low. Supa can't follow up on the kills, though.
He's
gone
tower.
Too far. Shlatan's behind them. Supa gets exhausted. Shlatan can move on in. They're trying to get the kill over to Woolite, but they've maybe trolled that one a little bit because Supa gets the kill instead. Shlatan now tries to answer, but Supa just flashes away. Gets a knock-up out as well. Shlatan's in trouble, but here's Sertuss to clean these kills up, and Misfits managed to win out the trade.
G2 could have gotten out and they went back in. They got the kill. They were actually away and then they got greedy. You knew you weren't going to have reinforcements there. You know your team were on the top side. They could have cut and run. It would have been an okay trade, but instead they overstep, and now Misfits Premier, 5,000 gold in the lead, 6 kills to 1, and they're going to pick up that first dragon.
Yeah, this is starting to get a little bit out of control for the side of G2 as Oscarinin is now going to get caught on the top side of the map as well. Jactroll going to save Agresivoo, who can start to charge on up. Look at Sertuss, has the stolen flash, looking for picks as well. Oscarinin will flash away from the paddle star. Nicely done, but Jactroll is here as well. Till the skies comes in, Agresivoo just needs a couple of autos. Oscarinin somehow surviving all of this, but Woolite is here to get the kill credit at the end of it. Koldo 0-4 and 0 so far. This is going from bad to worse for G2.
It just feels like Misfits Premier have more players on their team. Every time there's a fight or a skirmish or a play, there's more members of Misfits Premier. We saw on the bot side, it was 4 against 2. And then on the top side, it ends up being 5 against 2. It just feels like they're constantly rotating around the map and finding the right angles. Jactroll beautiful there with the ultimate to come in from behind. And they're going to be able to throw down the Herald mid, do a ton of damage to the tower mid. And they are firmly in the lead right now. 6,000 gold lead at 12 minutes.
Yeah, not too shabby, is it? That's 500 gold lead per every minute of the game. Look at the damage that Sertuss is doing already. I love Zoe XD. I'm a Zoe main. Love it when she wins. But yeah, I don't know. That damage is insane. He's going to be able to recall now and potentially finish a mythic. Yeah, there's the Everfrost coming through. That's a mythic on every single player for Misfits right now. We're just 12 minutes into the game. They've already got everything that they want. Herald will be coming up shortly. We're going to have a Drake coming up in 3.5 minutes as well. But before that, honestly, they can look for more plays. They can look for more opportunities just in the lane phase.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no reason they need to try and sort of rush things. They're still confident with their scaling. We went into this and said G2 Arctic need momentum. And it's Misfits Premier who are the ones ahead, and they have a Senna who's going to scale essentially infinitely. They have really strong carries in Sertuss and Agresivoo, and they're looking for even more here. The sleep does connect. Doesn't look like there'll be any...
Oh my days.
I was saying it doesn't look like there'll be any follow-up. Yeah.
The shot blast must have hit me there because I just nearly choked myself to death. Efias not enjoying this one. And this is the thing that we talked about, right? When this kind of composition gets ahead, you don't get to do anything. You don't get to step anywhere. The long-range punishes that you get. And Sertuss has been so on point with these sleepy trouble bubbles so far this game. But the beautiful thing about the Zoe Jayce combo is you land a bubble Agresivoo can follow up on it. You don't have to find the risky paddle star where you portal forward into the enemy team. You've got a Jayce that can follow up on it, and you still get the bonus damage. Oh, dive in the bot side, actually. Agresivoo is in trouble. Dawning Shadow. Let's try and help him out here, and he survives the dive. That's all he needed.
Shield coming in pretty clutch and just negating the play.
Going, actually, just 2v1. Okay, just a bit of damage. Sertuss can keep chasing, actually, because Jactroll is on Tahm. Kench, he's about to Abyssal Voyage over. He's got Woolite alongside him here. Fresskowy going to try and flash away. They're going to try and follow this one up. No, the paddle star from Sertuss. And all the way along the bot lane, it's just Sertuss styling all over Fresk. Now, 1v1 in the top side. Oscarinin, I say 1v1. There's a horsey on the way. There's two of them here. As the fear comes on through, Agresivoo blasting with the shock blast here. And it's another kill for Misfits.
And again, it just feels like the rotations coming out from Misfits. Agresivoo, 0 HP on the boss side of the map, just got nearly killed in the dive. Recalls, TP's back up top. Shlatan's already there to make the play happen. It feels like every time there is a play, Misfits bring more. There is always more players there. And it just must feel frustrating for G2AR at this point. They go for this play here, TP instantly channeled, ult comes down from the center to keep you alive. And then quickly this evolves into no longer being a 2v1, it's now a 2v2. And then you have the slow move over from the bot lane, which ends up turning this into a 4v2 overall. It just feels frustrating. G2AR can't make a play work, and every time they go for one, they just get punished.
Yeah, the thing is, right there, Fresskowy, he flashes away to dodge a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. But with that is, Sertuss was in auto range when he flashed away. So then Sertuss just steals the flash. And then when he goes for his next portal jump, flashes forward to get the Q in and finish the kill. So there's no way of winning that situation for Fresskowy. And it feels like it's all just going from bad to worse. And Woolite with the Dawning Shadow, every single time that G2 Arctic try and make a play onto Agresivoo, Woolite is immediately there, blasting the ultimate across the map. And that time around, that shield was literally the difference between Agresivoo surviving and dying in that situation.
And it makes it just, again, more difficult. You have these tools that limit the aggression, and G2AR need to be finding the attempts. But at this point in the game, you are 8,000 gold down. I really struggle to see it. I really struggle to see how you can make a play that Misfits Premier, even if they're down in numbers, which they haven't been, but even if you somehow find them down in numbers, it's still so hard. You look at the items across the board.
I'm not sure that this is a tower trade that they can afford to take here. G2 just took a tier 1 at the top side. They traded it for a tier 2 and a Drake. And now look at the pings. We're going to see Misfits move towards the mid lane as well. I don't know if they'll be able to get a tower there, but I mean, across the map, Misfits are still just continuing to snowball this lead. It's not even getting any better. It's just getting worse now. It's the Grump, even the Grump. They can't get anything. G2 just being robbed before their very eyes. Oscarinin just walks away with his tail between his legs.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't quite connect there.
A little bit more. Ah, the Wolves blocked the paddle star, but I don't think it matters as Koldo has to ult away from that one. Efias now taking a chunk. There's an ignite. A Dawning Shadow. Is the ignite enough on this one? Efias trying to escape. Just about gets away with his life. That was about as close as you could get on this one. And Misfits, they're setting up their tents right here. They can just camp the mid lane and slowly but surely siege down the towers, because Agresivoo is just pushing in the top side. He can start to move over, and they can keep on looking for more. These long-range comps are so good at sieging, and Oscarinin has stepped far too far forwards. Same can be said, but doesn't matter because Tahm Kench exists.
Oh, the trouble bubble?
Oh no, the minions. Yeah, it's not going to be blocked, and Supa's in trouble here. Nice little ulti from Efias. Can they do anything? The follow-up is there. The combo that we talked about. Koldo trying to walk away. Is Jactroll 1v4ing as Tahm Kench in the backline will finally answer for his crimes, but Agresivoo is here to punish what happened in the fight. Now it's Oscarinin on his own. Does manage to get a kill onto Woolite. At least he's a bit tanky, but Agresivoo with the double kill. And I mean, let's be honest, this is just Misfits slapping them with their wallets at this stage. This is already done so.
I mean, this is the problem, is you take down the Senna and it just doesn't matter. There's still the Jayce alive who can clean up the fight. Oscarinin just manages to escape here, and it ends up being a bit of an overcommit. This, you know, if the gold lead was closer, maybe this could have been a misplay, because you see this nice re-engage come through from the side of G2 Arctic, but the problem is the damage isn't there. Supa, almost 0 HP, barely any mana, isn't really able to do anything, and a little bit comical with Jactroll going so deep, but ultimately, as soon as Agresivoo shows up, instantly destroys the Jinx, and the rest of the team has to back off and respect that. Do you see Oscarinin find the kill on the Woolite? But again, the rest of the team are so strong, it just doesn't matter. The goal disparity is absolutely massive here. And this has just been a clinical game for Misfits Premier. I think coming into this, they were definitely the favorites. I think the expectation was they'd be stronger. But we thought of G2 Arctic as a dark horse, and I felt like there was definitely upset potential, and this has completely shut that down.
I'm not going to lie, Orcs. I'm a fan of the NLC because I'm from the UK. G2 Arctic absolutely destroyed Fnatic Rising. And now they're being absolutely destroyed by Misfits. Doesn't make me feel good about my region. Neither does that, because Koldo just got one shot. He's a tank. He's meant to be invincible. He's playing Volibear. That's not what it looks like to me.
You know what? I am certain that the French team would love to have you, Munch. I'm saying all you do is say one tweet. Will you accept me, French seed? And I'm sure they will all say yes. You can be a fan too. Because right now, I think it seems like a pretty good time to be a fan of the LFL.
Let's be honest here, mate. By all accounts, this is pretty much a Polish team. There are 4 Polish players on this team. This is a bit more of a Polska Gorum kind of situation. But hey, LFL will be happy to take a win. I know I'm quite happy to call Larson a UK player. So when it comes to regional pride, people are happy to bend the rules. Oh, TP actually coming in the bot side just to stop the tower getting taken down. Agresivoo trying to chase it. I think this will be all it is. Sorry, continue, Orcs. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's like the Andy Murray situation where when he wins, he's British, and when he loses, he's Scottish.
That's incredibly true. I wish that was just a joke, but that is really how it is in England.
Yeah, it actually is. It's pretty, it's pretty messed up. But regardless, honestly, what Misfits Premier is doing at G2 Arctic is pretty messed up. Oscarinin is almost going to get quiet. I think he goes down now. Jactroll's going to get the eat.
Yeah, I don't think he gets away from this one. He's going to be able to spit a Mega Gnar towards the team, but Oscarinin still doesn't go for play here. And it's just going to be another kill. And honestly, Orcs, this is one of those situations where it feels like you're commentating on a done deal, right? It feels like at this point, Misfits can just do whatever they want. With this Baron, they can quite happily just push into place. We already talked about how good at sieging they are. Now add a Baron on top of that. Misfits just wander in. This might as well be their base at this stage in the game. We talk about territorial control in League of Legends. We talk about who's in control of the map. Well, Misfits have every little bit of space that they want right now as Woolite pushes forwards. And Misfits ain't done just yet. They've still got 5 seconds on the respawn timer, but that's a dead Jinx. See you later, Supa. Down go the towers, and down goes G2. A 22-minute victory as Misfits Premier destroyed their first game of the EU Masters. It's a good little Galio ult, but it ain't nearly enough.
I think after that game, we can definitely say the LFL are looking strong. We saw K-Corp with a dominant game earlier, Misfits Premier smashing that one. They are looking like the region to be feared because it's not like they just beat a team who we had low expectations for. G2 Arctic managed to come through the play-ins. They're coming from the Superliga. Yes, they're not one of the strongest teams on paper in the tournament, but I felt like there'd be more of a fight than there was there. That was just complete domination.
Yeah, and I think part of the issue, right, is that first off, we got to see that Zoe just absolutely going crazy, but there was multiple moments like here. We saw the Dawning Shadow coming out, saves Agresivoo, and Sertuss had so much freedom in this game to just do whatever he wanted, getting multiple kills. This one was particularly nice to watch, but throughout the entire early game, Sertuss was the one sweeping these kills up. So when you get behind against a Zoe, she just has a whole playground to work with.
Yeah, and speaking of playgrounds, it felt like Misfits Premier were a carousel because they were just rotating constantly. Every time G2 Arctic thought that they could find a play, there was more members turning up. There was always a numbers advantage, and it just meant that no matter when you went for a play, someone was going to be there. There was a TP, there was the ultimate from the Tahm Kench, and the only point it even looked remotely close was this one fight, but they still managed to get destroyed. They took down the bot lane, only to fall themselves. and Misfits Premier just look completely in control.
And we have to say that for the LFL, this is a big win moment, right? Coming in this strong, this is the second seed from the LFL. It's one of the regions that's definitely a favorite. Like every single time we come into EU Masters, we're always talking about how LFL is a favorite. They're a huge region, certainly massive fan bases, a lot of money in the scene, but also the teams always come in swinging. And it feels like if you want to make an entrance at EU Masters, forget controlled gameplay, forget slow play in the early game. Like, this is how you do it. You come in and you smash someone with a 22-minute win.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how you send the message. And that core lead seems like a mountain climb more than anything, just completely in the upwards direction. It wasn't even close. And you know what scares me, honestly, here, Joe, is the fact that this team, this Misfits Premier, got smashed by K-Corp. They got 3-0'd in the finals, and they're this good. It really makes you wonder how strong K-Corp potentially are. Obviously, we saw them dominate earlier, but maybe this could be Misfits Premier showing that they're ready to go for some revenge, ready to find a rematch here in this competition. Either way, I think we've definitely seen some teams today who are looking like front runners for the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of performance, if you can make that a consistent thing, will be terrifying. But that's the big question, right? Is maybe that was G2 having a slump, maybe that was Misfits overperforming. We'll have to wait and see over the course of EU Masters, but here are our standings at the end of day one. We've just seen both Aggo Rogue and Misfits Premier stepping up today and showing up on the stage. We also earlier saw Mouse Sports and UCAM taking wins, and even earlier than that, we saw Schalke and K-Corp manage to get their first wins of the tournament as well.
And it's just, I mean, I feel like just the scores alone don't really tell the story of the matches. There was a lot of close games, a lot of back and forth. I think particularly Macro against Mouse Sports was probably a really close one, and Supa against Aggo Rogue also. It just looks like a 1-0 when you look at it here, if you didn't get to see those games, but they were super close and down to the wire, whereas we have had some stomps on the other side.
Yeah, we've had some real close games. We've also had some very one-sided ones. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. The first game of tomorrow, though, is going to be one that breaks my very heart. It's K-Corp against BTXL. And honestly, if anything you can take away from today, it's that K-Corp are real good and BTXL not looking so hot to start us off. Hopefully they can have a bit of a resurgence in day number 2. But then across the course of the day, we've got some big matches, especially those first 3, I think, are the big ones that I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think those first 3... Okay, I really want to say it. It's not strictly true for game 1, but it could go either way. I'm hoping BTXL come out swinging and bounce back from today. I think the later 3 look a bit more one-sided, but I think we saw today that really anything can happen. That's kind of the consistent thing with EU Masters. Yeah. We come in, we take a look at the teams, we look at the regions, we're like, yeah, this is definitely where they're going to end up, and it all just goes out the window. We've had so many times where we've been like, this team is going to be the strongest, and it just isn't the case.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, that's the point of the group stage, is setting expectations for these teams. Yes, we can try and power rank the regions and we can try and measure them up against each other without gameplay, but ultimately, until they step onto the stage and face each other, that's when we'll discover what these teams are made of. So tomorrow, there'll be plenty more of that coming to your screens. But that is going to round us out for today. Orcs, thank you very much for joining me. And thank you as well to our wonderful production crew helping us get through day number 1. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. So make sure you're there. But until then, good night.